Hi everyone, good afternoon. William here with the Grand Duke Dmitri Diary series. It is Wednesday the 12th of November. As I'm doing this, we will be finishing up Dmitri's long diary entry of the 11th of October 1917. As you can see, I'm kind of in an afternoon haze here with respect to the lighting because the sun is coming through a window behind to one side of me, so please bear with me with that. Okay, so what did we have last time? We had we had Dmitri observing and talking about what was going on back in Russia, specifically in relation to the military, to the Army and Navy, and the fact that the current Army and Navy ministers were espousing these sort of utopian ideas of a military where the soldiers vote for or elect their own officers, and discipline is strictly voluntary. They discipline themselves. And, Dmitri quite rightly saying this is not going to work. This is not going to work. Under no circumstances. Quite right. And that people were expecting a miracle, which was very naive of them. The issue was the fact that the Germans, having taken the Estonian islands, were very near to Petrograd and could have launched an invasion. So we had Dmitri on the one hand saying it was so naive to expect the soldiers to suddenly just decide to fight with all their hearts. And on this occasion, and everybody was tired of the war, the soldiers just wanted to go home. But then he does an about-face at the end and says that he himself is expecting a miracle because he wants to be sure to conform to these new beliefs he has about positive thinking, that you don't think or express negative thoughts or it has bad consequences. So he switched to writing instead that he expected a miracle from God on behalf of Orthodox Russia. All right, so let's finish this diary entry up, and we're returning to more personal matters. Here we go. Again, over the past week, I have had to struggle mightily for peace of mind because the yearning for home, for dear ones, for friends is overwhelming me again. I am so tormentingly drawn to Petrograd that I just have no strength. After all, I've been in Persia 10 months. I've lived with the dear Marlings for exactly 5, and the end is unclear. My God, when will I see myself on the road to Russia? When will that be? Sometimes at night, it seems like I simply have no strength to struggle with the horrible anguish. But then, thank God, rest comes and I sleep until the morning. But enough about that, otherwise it will become hard for me again, and I will unwillingly lose the equilibrium I've built. It's terribly difficult here when bouts of heavy depression overcome me, because my hostess, Lady Marling, perceives changes in my mood with terrible acuity, and immediately looks for another explanation entirely for my serious face or involuntary silence. She has a very difficult character, reminding one of a spoiled child. If something doesn't go her way, there's an immediate drama, which ends with her saying all kinds of nasty things with such a face that sometimes it simply becomes tedious. All right, so you see the state of mind he's in and the repetition of certain words, struggle and overwhelmingly and anguish and strength, lack of strength. Okay, so, the issue, aside from just what's going on in general, is just really intense homesickness. I've been there. I'm sure most of us have. And so he's going through a bad phase. There's the gambling loss, and then there's just this intense need to be back with his friends and family in a familiar place. I mean, Tehran could not have been more of a familiar place less of a familiar place for him. And aside from the Marlings, you know, people are just casual acquaintances. My dog is eating, so I hope you don't mind that. So this struggle for peace, something that Dmitri had throughout his life, intermittently. No strength, he says that twice. And back when he was in Usovo, if you remember at the beginning of 1915, in those diary entries, he talks about a strange sense of weakness. So, you know, it's obviously the same, no strength / weakness, sometimes as part of a grouping of psychosomatic symptoms. This time he doesn't make that claim that he's physically ill, and it ties in with his idea of willpower that he doesn't have. He doesn't have willpower. He doesn't have strength to fight these things off. On the other hand, he is fighting them off. You know, he's consciously struggling, and he's you know, pushing through. And we know that his strategy, of course, is to not give way to negative thoughts, not only because of his belief in New Thought philosophy, but also because he knows the effect when he allows himself to dwell on these things. And so, you know, we hear from him that he's able to push those thoughts away during the day. I mean, he has things to do. Not terribly busy, but people are around. He has things to do. But at night, when he's lying in bed in the dark alone, then he can't push them away. But luckily, you know, eventually he falls asleep. That wouldn't always be the case. He would suffer very much from insomnia later in life, for instance, in the 1930s. After his divorce, and funnily enough, he would use almost the same language. He would talk about the same phenomenon when he had tuberculosis, but hadn't let people know about it yet, that he would be fine during the day and pushing through and trying to disguise it, but at night it would all come crashing down around him. Okay, anyway, that's a depressing subject. Yeah, and he refers to it as, in this instance, as heavy depression. Sometimes he says black depression. So with the situation with Lady Marling, well, Lady Lucia. So we get the picture. He's not talking like he usually does. He says it's involuntarily. It's involuntary silence. He just doesn't feel like talking. He's struggling with this depression. And apparently he stops smiling. You can see from the expression on his face that he's in this dark place. Not dark in the sense of wickedness, obviously, but depression. And she notices this, and she misinterprets it. She has another explanation, as he puts it, and my guess would be that other explanation is that he is withdrawing from her specifically. They have this kind of relationship where they kiss and so on and so forth, and, you know, she takes it as rejection, apparently. So he talks about her overall. Although he loved both the Marlings, he does paint a picture of them where Sir Charles is kind of a cold person, a kind of, maybe not cold, but withdrawn. And Lucia is kind of a neurotic person, you know, a demanding, neurotic, clinging kind of person, and quick to note when anything has sort of shifted. So that's what's happening here. Nasty things, she says. She makes these faces, and with such a face, she says all kinds of nasty things with such a face, and there's drama. So yeah, that doesn't sound too fun, does it? Anyway, what do we have next time? Well, we are switching. We're done with this long diary entry, and we're switching to the day by day. So we should be able to do both the 5th and the 6th of October tomorrow. So the day of and the day after the incident with the gambling loss. So yeah, come back for those, and I'll see you then. Bye.